Hello everyone and welcome to the session of Econivas Samhita, a residential building energy efficiency code. Ms. Prachi Gupta will be presenting in this session. The code implementation activities is being undertaken by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency and GIZ under Indo-German Energy Program. Let's begin with the presentation.
To begin with, we are going to look at the installed power capacity currently that's there in India. So this is like the monthly installed capacity in gigawatts. Uh, so about 203.95 gigawatts is from the fossil fuel industry, not on, much more than that, but from coal and from coal in particular. Gas and diesel accounts to 25.45 gigawatts. Nuclear has 6.78, hydro 45.4, and residential sector has 84.4 gigawatts of installed capacity. Okay, out of which solar has installed capacity of 32.53, wind has installed capacity of 37.28. However, if we talk about buildings, we are always talking about solar because rest of the renewable energy sources cannot be directly building integrated, right? If we look at the building sector, roughly 24% of energy consumption in the building sector is by domestic sector. This is a sector that has not been really looked at from energy saving perspective so far. So for this purpose, Econivas Samhita, that is called ENS in short form, was launched by Bureau of Energy Efficiency along with GIZ. Okay, this was launched in December 2018. With respect to built-up area, approximately 3 billion square meter of residential built-up area will be added by 2030, with an exponential land use increase from 24% to 60% by 2047, right? So, of course, the energy demand is also going to increase. Like by 2032, it is projected that it will go up from 260 TWH to 940. Okay. So, Econivas Samhita, it covers, basically it talks about building envelope standards, building envelope design standards to improve energy efficiency in residential buildings. It talks about adequate natural ventilation potential that a building has by the means of window to floor area ratio. Then it talks about adequate daylighting, in which window to wall ratio, wall area ratio is covered. And then a very important aspect is covered over here is about heat gain or heat loss as per the weather. So in Karnataka, except Kurg, most of the regions, we are going to be concerned about the heat gain, right? So when we are talking about heat gain or heat loss through the envelope, so there we are going to talk about U value and RETV that we will be covering in the later slides. So ENS, it's a simple to apply format. Okay. There are two ways of doing it. One is prescriptive compliance approach and another is the tool-based approach. So simple calculation-based inputs are taken from the architectural design drawings of the building. Okay. It does not require any simulation software. And the code can be easily adopted in the building bylaws. So a compliance tool is also available on Bureau of Energy Efficiency website, which can be used for the calculations and compliance check. Okay. So you can always visit www.econivas.com and get more details. So it is projected that at least 20% of energy saving will be achieved in an if we go for ENS in a larger way, in which Bureau of Energy Efficiency is planning. So it is going to save at least 20% energy saving as compared to a typical building. It can be, of course, if done in a better way, it can save much more than 20%. 125 billion kilowatt hour of electricity saving. So kilowatt hour is one unit that is electricity is measured in. When you get your electricity bills at home, you will see that these many units have been consumed. Those units are kilowatt hour. Okay, so you can imagine how much electricity saving will be achieved. So it does not only save the electricity, it also mitigates 100 million tons of carbon dioxide. Okay, so what do we mean by mitigating carbon dioxide? Mitigating carbon dioxide means that if we are burning fossil fuels for electricity consumption, we are releasing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, right? So if we are saving that many fossil fuels, we are saving this much carbon dioxide. So 100 million tons of carbon dioxide is huge. So let's look at a conventional building versus an ENS compliant building. So a conventional building will have a non-insulated roof which absorbs more heat and radiates inside the building. Um, it will also have conventional wall, roof, as well as single glazed windows, and they all trap heat, right? Let's talk about an ENS compliant building. ENS compliant building will have proper insulation in the envelope so that heat gain can be reduced during summers and heat loss can be avoided during winters. Okay, this ENS compliant building will have proper shading, proper glazing, and of course wall and roof insulation, and it will also have better cross ventilation, and it will also reduce your dependency on air conditioners and coolers. Karnataka has all 5 climatic zones. We can see most of the Karnataka falls under warm and humid. Then we have Belagavi, that is in composite. Hot and dry, we have Tumakuru. And temperate, we have Bangalore and Mysore. And cold is Kurg. Kurg district is cold, right? So this code is applicable to all 5 climatic zones. The latitude is below 23.5 degrees. Okay, so we have to. There are certain tables in the code which talk about latitude specific requirements also. So you can will be seeing those. So the code basically covers these factors for the building envelope. It talks about window to floor area ratio for natural ventilation. Then it talks about visible light transmittance for daylight potential. And of course, it talks about thermal transmittance. Let's come to the first part. So first part is window to floor area ratio. Now this is a very simple ratio. It says um, it is the percentage of your openable windows. Okay, please, there is an emphasis on openable window. Okay, the openable area. Okay, because in a window you might have some fixed glazing, you might have, you know, in the out in the you might have frames and other obstructions. Okay, so it is only the actual openable area divided by the carpet area of your building. So in the openable area, your entrance door is not included. This door is not included in this calculation because this is not you're not going to keep it open, right? So all your windows, ventilators that are opening directly to external air, open balcony, uh, corridor that is open, shaft, and doors opening directly into open balcony. All these are included. Okay. When we talk about carpet area, we are not including the balconies over here. Okay. We are only talking about total internal area of habitable space. So for different climatic zones, we have different minimum window to floor area ratio requirements. Okay, so this is to ensure that adequate natural ventilation is met, and there is an improvement in thermal comfort, and of course it will lead to reduction in cooling energy loads, right? If you have a good natural ventilation, you will not require so much of air conditioning. Okay, so let's see the table over here. We can see the table on the left. Okay, we can see that composite climate has minimum window to floor area ratio of 12.5%. Okay, hot and dry it is 10%, warm and humid 16.6%, 16.66%. Why? Because in warm and humid climate you require more of natural ventilation because of the humidity content. Okay, temperate again you require 12.5%, and cold climate it is less, 8.33%. Okay, because if you have more ventilation, then you might your building might cool up fast in the cold climates. Okay. So this is an example. Let's look at this example. This is a dwelling unit situated in Rajkot. Now Rajkot is in Gujarat. It is composite climate. Okay. So we have taken the example of Gujarat because it doesn't matter. We are only talking about the climatic zones. Okay. So over here, what was done was total windows area or total opening areas were written down. Okay, and total, then your total openable area was calculated. Okay, which is approximately 90%. Okay, and then the window to floor area ratio was calculated. We can see the calculation on the right over here. So as per the table, the minimum requirement is 12.5%. So this is complying to the requirements. Let's talk about window to wall area ratio and how it is has been related to the minimum VLT over here. First of all, I'll explain what is VLT. VLT is visual light transmittance. Okay, so visual light transmittance is basically how much visible light is coming inside your windows. Okay, so how much of visible light is coming inside your windows, that percentage is your visible light transmittance. Here minimum VLT has been provided, right? Why is that so? Because the intent is to basically maintain the visual light, maintain the adequate daylight inside the building. Okay, so the more the window wall ratio you have, your glass can have lesser VLT properties. So let's look at this table where we can see that here this is the column of light transmittance. This is the first column is the color or performance. That is your glass glass typology. Okay, so we can see first glass is clear glass that has 10 mm thickness. It has visual light transmittance of 77%. Okay, and it has total, let's look at the fifth column over here. It has total solar radiant heat transmittance of 67%. That means it can it allows 67% of the heat inside the building through that glass. Okay, let's look at the last case over here now. 30 by 17. This is a high-tech high performance glass. Light transmittance is 29%, which is very low as compared to the first class. However, if we look at the solar radiant heat transmittance, it is also very low, 19%, as compared to the first case, right? So we can see there is some kind of a direct relation between the light transmittance as well as the solar heat radiant transmittance, right? So the thing is that if we go for very high-tech glass, we might have a little we might have to do a little compromise on the VLT. So this table was given, where we can see that if you have a window to wall ratio from 0 to 30%, you ought to have VLT of at least 27%. Okay. If you have a window to wall ratio of 51 to 60%, then your VLT can go down to 13%. Okay. And if you have a window wall ratio of 61 to 70%, then you can further go down to 11% as your minimum visual light transmittance. So let's look at a sample window wall ratio calculation. So we have this, we calculated the total window area, that is non-opaque window area. Okay, if you have frames and all, that will not be calculated. And you then you total divided by the total wall area. Okay, here we can see A envelope, that means area of the total external envelope, only walls area. Okay, so the total window area divided by total wall area. So it has been calculated over here. It has come out to be 0.07, that is 7.3%. Okay, yeah. So for roof, thermal transmittance value has been maximum thermal transmittance value has been given as 1.2 watt per meter square Kelvin. Now, what is a U value? What is a thermal transmittance? So let's look at that through this example. Over here, we can see it's a roof section where we have China mosaic tiles on the top. Then we have concrete. Then we have perf insulation. Then we have cementcrete. Then RCC slab, and then we have internal plaster. Okay. If we cut through a roof, a sample roof, we've got this section. So first we are going to talk about the total thermal resistance. Okay, so thermal resistance is resistance of a material towards the heat. Okay, how much heat a material can resist. Okay, now thermal resistance is inversely proportional by thermal transmittance. Okay, right? How much heat a material can resist is going to be inversely proportional by how much heat a material can transmit, right? So first we are going to calculate the total thermal resistance of this composition. Okay, when we are talking about thermal resistance of roof, we are going to talk about the entire composition rather than talk about individual materials. Okay, so China mosaic tiles will have its own resistance, concrete will have its own resistance. So to get the total resistance, we are going to add the resistances of all these materials as per their thickness and as per their resistance properties. Okay, and we get our total resistance total is equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R4 plus air film resistance on both the surfaces. Okay, now you must have noticed, or if you have not noticed, you can check now. There is always an air film right next to any surface. Okay, air surface will that air film will also have a resistance of its own. Okay, so when we are talking about the thermal resistance, total thermal resistance, we are going to add up the entire thermal materials thermal resistances along with the air films thermal resistance. Okay, so now we need to calculate the total U value. So it's simple. We got the total thermal resistance as 1.9. We are going to inverse it, and we get 0.47 as the total U value of the roof. Okay. Now units of U value are watt per meter square Kelvin. Okay. So it simply means how much of heat it transmits. Now heat is a form of energy, right? So energy, units of energy, one of the units of energy is watt. Okay. So how much heat it will transmit if there is a temperature difference of 1 degrees from outside to inside, okay, in 1 square meter area of that particular material. Okay, that is your U value, and resistance is the opposite of it. The values are also opposite of it. Okay, meter square Kelvin per watt, right? So next we come to RETV. RETV is residential envelope transmittance value. Okay, so it simply means that the how much thermal transmittance your envelope is going to have. Now, when we are calculating RETV in this particular case, we are not going to include roof in this calculation. What is the reason for that? Because we have already defined value for roof. Okay, so RETV is a composition. RETV is a total of all the factors, other factors that account for total thermal transmittance of the building envelope. What is a building envelope? Building envelope is the outer covering of a building. Okay, like we have an envelope. Envelope is always outer covering of a, if we like put documents in an envelope, so envelope becomes the outer covering, right? So over here in the building, when we say building envelope, what are the components of the outer covering? We have walls, we have roof, we have openings. Okay, so when we are calculating RETV, we already have a separate value given for the roof. We are going to calculate the factors of other components of the building envelope. That is your openings and walls. So let's look at the calculation first. So when we look at the calculation, it looks scary. It's not scary. It's very simple. Let me explain it. So it simply says RETV is equal to 1 by area of your envelope. Okay. Now in this area of your envelope, you are not going to include your roof. You're only going to include your total walls area, like including the windows. Okay. So 1 divided by that area multiplied by A. Now A is a coefficient. What is that coefficient? I'll come to that later. Okay. A coefficient into sum of different types of like some. Okay, let's assume we have only one type of wall over here. Okay, so A coefficient into area into U value of that wall. Okay, into, we can see a WI over here. What is WI? It is orientation factor, that will come to in the next few slides. Okay, plus B coefficient into area into U value of the window into the orientation factor, plus C coefficient into area of the window into solar heat gain coefficient into the orientation factor. Okay, now I have already explained what is the U value. I will explain what is orientation factor, and I'll also explain what is solar heat gain coefficient later on. Okay, it will be explained within this presentation only, so stay with us. Now these coefficients A, B and C, these are given in the table. These are as per your climate zone. Okay, these are as per the climatic zones. You can see which climate zone you are in, and you can pick up your ABC coefficients from there. Now let's look at the types of different types of walls with their different U values. This will give a better understanding of what is a U value and how it really affects us. Now my first question to everyone is, which of course you cannot answer now, but I want you to think about it, that what do we want in our envelope? Do we want more higher the U value, or do we want lesser U value? So U value, I'll repeat, U value is the thermal transmittance of a material. Okay, so I'll also give an example for your as a hint. In our school times, we used to study that metal is a good conductor of heat. Okay, that means metal can conduct or metal can transmit heat easily. That means metal has higher U value. Okay, wood is a bad conductor of heat. Okay, that means wood has lesser thermal transmittance properties and it has higher resistivity to heat, higher resistance to heat. Okay, so I am sure you must have already thought about whether we should have a higher U value in our building or lesser. So answer is obviously we should have lesser thermal transmittance in our building envelope. Lesser, we don't want to live in metal boxes, do we? No. And that was just for an example. But what I mean over here is that the lesser the U value, the better our envelope is. Okay, it will protect us from heat gain during summers and heat loss during winters. Okay, now let's look at these examples. So first case is 150 mm RCC wall which does not have any plaster. This has a U value of 3.77 watt per meter square Kelvin. Okay, now let's look at the second case. It is 200 mm solid concrete block with 15 mm plaster on both sides. Its U value is 2.8 watt per meter square Kelvin. Okay. Third case, which is the most commonly used case, is a 230 mm brick wall with 15 mm plaster on both sides. Now let's look at the U value of this brick wall. Now this is varying from 1.72 to 2.24 watt per meter square Kelvin depending on the quality of the brick. Okay, we have different grades of bricks. So if it is a good quality high density brick, then the U value is going to be 1.72. Okay, so we can easily see it is like much better, far better than the concrete walls, right? Now let's look at the fourth case, that is 200 mm AAC blocks, autoclaved aerated concrete blocks with 15 mm plaster on both sides. Let's look at the U value. It is 0.77, much less than any of the cases given above, right? Fourth case is again AC blocks with the increased thickness from 200 to 300 mm. Okay. Of course, proportionately, the U value has further reduced, right? So, having said this, I want to add something over here, which we were going to talk about later on, that you can, the ENS code is actually material neutral and technology neutral. You can use any materials. The end goal is to actually get the correct values and have a overall better envelope so that we can save energy consumption, reduce energy consumption. We have talked about thermal transmittance of walls. We have talked about thermal transmittance of roof. Let's talk about thermal transmittance of a window. Okay. Now there are two types of heat gains through the, actually three types of heat gains through the windows. So before that, I would like to ask, and you can answer at to yourself, that what are the three modes of heat transfer? They are conduction, convection, and radiation, right? So when we talk about conduction, conduction is heat transfer by direct touch of one material to another, and it is from direct touch or from one molecule to another molecule. Okay. Now, when we talk about convection, it happens through currents. It could be air currents or fluids. So, in the building case, of course, it is going to be through the air currents. Okay. So, how does convection play a role in heat gain or heat loss in a building? Is if you have some air leaks in the window to frame or some other parts of the envelope, then of course you're going to have air leaks, and it will also account for some heat losses or heat gains in as per the weather conditions. Okay. Also, you, as I had mentioned earlier, there is a air film right next to any surface. So over there also convection is happening, right? Radiation. Now radiation happens directly, it's a direct radiation which does not require any medium. That is why sun rays directly reach Earth, in spite of in spite of the fact that there is a vacuum in the space, still sun rays are able to reach us, right? So heat gain through radiation also happens on different surfaces. If we talk about roof, or if we talk about opaque surfaces, any opaque surface, say wall or roof, so of course it is going to heat up the wall or roof through radiation also, and then further that heat is transmitted inside. So that is why if on the roofs you can go for cool roofs, you can have reflective paints or reflective tiles on the roofs, or you can have shaded roof. You can shade your roof with the solar panels or any other reflective surface, right? So that will also heat up your surface less, and it will further transmit the heat less to the inside of the building. Okay. Let's come back to the window again. So when we are saying solar radiation, of course the solar radiation, since windows have a lot of glass component, so through the glass radiation is coming directly inside, right? So different glass have different properties that we have seen in a table earlier. So a clear glass will roughly allow, if you're only talking about the glass part, it will roughly allow 90% of the heat to come inside. Only the glass part. We are not talking about the frame part over here. Okay. Uh, it is also transmitting heat through your conduction, right? Because your outer surface of the window is always hotter, and then it transmits heat inside uh, through conduction also. And we are also talking about the frame over here. So frame also transmits heat through conduction. Also glass also has its conduction properties. So when we talk about U value of a window, we are talking about area weighted average of the glass as well as frame. Okay, total U value of the window. Now you don't have to worry about calculating these U values, because these U values are given to you by the Windows manufacturer. The person who will be providing you the window will be giving you the U values of your windows. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that calculation. So of course, different. Let's look at the image on the right. So different glazings have different U values that we can see over here. Let's look at the first case. Ordinary single glazing will have a U value of very high U value of 5.88. Okay. Now let's look at the last case, which is double glazing, low emission, and argon filled between the two units. It has a U value which is considerably low, that is 1.67. Okay, so type of your window, type of your glass, type of your frame also play a very important role in how much heat your window is going to transmit through conduction also. Okay, coming to a very important aspect. So windows, as I just said like 2 minutes back, that we get direct solar radiation inside the windows through the sun, right? So some of it is reflected, some of it is absorbed, and some of it is like directly coming inside. Okay. Now that percentage of radiation that is coming inside, okay, either it is directly coming or it is absorbed and then coming, the total radiation, total heat that is coming inside, okay, that percentage is called your solar heat gain coefficient. Okay, Simple calculation is, let's say, out of 100% solar heat that is falling on your window, about 20% gets reflected back. Okay, so your solar heat gain coefficient will be 80%. Okay, or 0.8, 80% or 0.8. Okay, so obviously lesser the solar heat gain coefficient, lesser the heat transfer, right? So that is what we want in our windows, that it should have lesser solar heat gain coefficient. Okay, now this was talking about window in isolation. Okay, when there is no shading. Now if we add a shading, so this solar heat gain coefficient should reduce, right? How much should it reduce? So there is a very simple calculation for that to account for the projection. There is a term called projection factor. It is ratio of your projection, the overhang, okay, divided by the height of the overhang from your sill level. Okay, let's look at the first, the left image first, where we can see that the lintel level of the window is little lower, but the projection is higher than that. Okay, so we are going to take this entire height from the sill level to the bottom of the projection. Okay, and let's look at the second case, the image on the right, extreme right. There we see that lintel level and the projection level are same. So there we have taken 600 divided by 1200. So the projection factor has come out to be 0.5. So your solar heat gain coefficient when it's an unshaded window, it is a what it is that I have already explained. Now if you have an overhang, so we have external shading factor that we multiply our solar heat gain coefficient of the window with. Okay, we get equivalent solar heat gain coefficient. Okay, now how do we get this external shading factor? We have a table for that. We already know how to calculate projection factor, right? So we have a table for that. Next slide, please. Yeah. So we have this table where we can see that now this table has been given for latitude as per of Karnataka, which is less than 23.5 degrees. Okay. So if our projection factor, that the example that we had taken, there we had projection factor of 0.5, right? Let's say it was a north window. I think it was a north window. Yeah, it was a north window. So we are going to have the our external shading factor. This is going to be the external shading factor, that is 0.820, the one that is highlighted, right? So we calculate our solar heat gain coefficient with our external shading factor, and we get the equivalent shading factor. Now can we see over here that initially our solar heat gain coefficient was 0.6 and now it is 0.492, right? So it is much less than the original solar heat gain coefficient. Not much less, but still it is considerably less, right? So without spending a lot on the high efficiency window sections, we can simply introduce shading devices and still get the desired results, right? Now coming on to the next factor, that is the orientation factor. If you remember in the calculations we had seen one W, it's actually so this orientation factor is basically how much it's the basically the measure of amount of direct and diffuse solar radiation that is received on the walls in a specific rotation, okay, in a specific orientation. Okay, so we are going to look at the table for latitudes less than 23.5 degrees. Here we see that let's suppose our building is oriented in the northeast orientation. So our orientation factor comes out to be 0.906. this factor we are going to use in the calculation for RETV that we had seen earlier. Okay. We had also seen coefficients ABC in the RETV formula, which I had mentioned that for each climatic zones we have different coefficients, that those coefficients can be taken from this calculation. Now, maximum RETV allowed for the 4 climatic zones, that is composite climate, hot and dry climate, warm and humid and temperate climates. They should have a maximum RETV of 15 watt per meter square. For cold climates, it is we have a different requirement where we say that the thermal transmittance of the building envelope shall comply with a maximum of 1.8 watt per meter square Kelvin. Okay. Now this is different from RETV. This is basically the U value for entire envelope. Okay. So it is U value of envelope in the cold climate except the roof part. This calculation is equal to 1 by area of the envelope except the roof part into U value of walls into area of walls plus U value of window into area of window plus all the different types of components. Okay, that should be a maximum of 1.8 watt per meter square Kelvin. We have this plan on the left where we can see that wall area, opaque wall area is 2793.38 square meters. U value of that wall is 0.78. Okay, it is AAC wall. Door is wooden door, opaque door. Area is 210 square meter and U value is 5.23 watt per meter square Kelvin. Okay. Then we have window, that is the non-opaque, of course, the transparent part. Area is 475.88 square meters and the U value is 5.8 meters square Kelvin. Okay, so the U value of envelope over here will be this area into U value plus this area into U value plus this area into U value divided by total area. Okay, that comes out to be 1.73 watt per meter square Kelvin. So it is compliant. Maximum allowed is 1.8. Okay. So in this ENS tool, you can actually compare different cases. Okay. You can try different cases and then compare them in the end. So this is case 1. This is in Belagavi, Karnataka. The climate is composite. Okay. External wall used over here is 230 mm thick solid burnt clay brick, the conventional way. Roof construction is normal RCC slab with EPS insulation. However, roof is anyways, it has a different value given and we don't use it in RETV calculation. So this is just given for reference. Okay, we can ignore this column for now. We will only focus on external wall glazing and the window to wall ratio. Okay, glazing is 50 mm steel frame with single glaze unit. U value is 5.7 watt per meter square Kelvin. SHGC is 0.56 and VLT is 0.51. Okay, and window to wall ratio is 22.55%. RETV is coming out to be 14.92, barely within the range. So second case we have over here, where the external wall was changed from normal brick wall to 200 mm thick AC block wall. Okay, nothing else was changed. By doing only this, the RETV came down from 14.96 to 9.71. Right? Big change. Now let's look at case 3, where we have 200 mm thick AC block wall. Nothing was changed over here. Window to wall area ratio remains same. only the glazing was changed from single glazing to double glazed units of Asahi glass, and U value, which has better U value and SHGC. RETV has come down to to 6.62. Okay, it has come down from 9.7 to 6.62. Going to the fourth case. Okay, so what changes were made over here? Window to wall ratio remained the same. Glazing remained the same as the third case. Only high SRI paint was applied on the external wall. What is high SRI paint? So this is solar reflective index, which has high solar reflective index. Okay, so basically the walls were reflecting solar heat falling into onto the walls. Okay, so by that only we were able to save, the RETV came down from 6.62 to 5.13. Okay, now you can compare all the four cases or five cases, as many cases as you like, you would like to compare, and you can see which is most viable for your requirements. You have to look at all the aspects of area, of cost, of RETV, of electricity saving, whatever. You have to look at all the parameters and then take your call, as long as it is falling within the compliance parameters. Coming to the compliance approach, uh, before that I would like to add that building design flexibility is given by ENS, this tool. So you can have any type of material for wall assembly, you can have any design of window panels, you can have any type of shading for your external windows, and any type of glazing. Okay, so as I had mentioned earlier, this is a technology neutral as well as material neutral code. So it is completely up to you which technology to use. Okay. Now let's look at compliance approach tool. This tool can be, it is available for download on Bureau of Energy Efficiency's website. Okay, the link is given at the bottom of the screen. I would pause here for a minute so that you can note down this link. It is https beeindia.gov.in /content/ECDC-residential. Okay, so we can see over here, it's a Java based compliance check tool. It's an offline tool. You download it and you use it. So it's a very simple tool. It's like, filling an online form. If you have filled earlier, I'm sure you have filled many online forms earlier. So it's like putting in various information and attaching some documents. So let's look at the climate zone map over here. It has this kind of a map given over there, and when you input the location and other details, it automatically picks up the climate information. Now this is an example from Karnataka only. State Karnataka, city Bangalore, climate temperate, latitude is less than 23.5 degrees. And then you start putting in other information like total number of residential blocks, block type for compliance, and number of blocks, and all the other information that we can see over here. Type of dwelling unit, and then we have to upload the architectural drawings, that is your plans, sections, and elevations. Then we can see we have to input different window sizes, window types, shapes, glazing percentage, and all the information that we have to put over here. Wall type, a roof type, door type, information for individual components like ventilator, and all this information has to be put. and you get a compliance report on the next page. So this is how you get the compliance result, where you see that first section over here is window to floor area ratio, calculated as per the code is 22.47 as per the tool, sorry. As per the code, minimum should be 12.5, so the status is compliant. VLT calculated is 85%. As per the code, for this kind of a building, it should be 27%, so it is compliant. U value of roof is calculated to be 0.47. Maximum allowed is 1.2. It is compliant. RETV calculated is 9.46. Criteria says maximum 15, so it is compliant. Okay, so a report is generated once all the design provisions are compliant to the code. Okay, this is how the this comes out to be, compliance report comes out to be. Okay, so also I would like to add one thing. When you download the tool, you can also download the 2-minute tutorial video, and then you see that how this tool actually works. That 2-minute video explains it very well.